16 million people will visit Florida this month carrying the same 10 false beliefs in their heads. Hotel concierge know the truth. Tour guides know. Even the guy selling sunscreen knows. But nobody's telling tourists because these lies are worth billions in revenue annually. Florida equals beaches. That's what the brochures want you to believe. Here's the truth. Only 1,350 miles of Florida's coastline is actual sandy beach. The rest? Mangroves, marshes, rocky outcrops where you'd shred your feet just trying to wade in. Central Florida sits 60-plus miles from any coast. 0 beaches. Yet it pulls in more visitors than most coastal areas combined. Why? Because Florida's real treasures aren't sitting on postcards. The state has over 30,000 lakes. 30,000. And honestly, locals skip the crowded saltwater beaches entirely. They head to freshwater springs instead. Crystal clear water. A constant 72 degrees year-round. No salt burning your eyes. No sand in uncomfortable places. These springs pump out 8 billion gallons daily. The water's so clear, you can see 50 feet down. Try finding visibility like that at Clearwater Beach when it's packed with tourists slathering on sunscreen. And here's what really kills me. Most visitors completely ignore the Everglades, the largest subtropical wilderness in North America. Right there, waiting. They also miss that Florida ranks as the 3rd largest cattle state in the country. Cattle ranches in Florida. I know, I didn't believe it either the first time. You want real Florida? Kayak through bioluminescent waters at night? Watch the water literally glow around your paddle. Tube down spring-fed rivers so cold they'll wake you up faster than Cuban coffee. Explore ecosystems that exist nowhere else on Earth. The beaches are fine, they're nice, but treating Florida as one giant coastline is like visiting New York and only seeing Times Square. You're missing the good stuff. Speaking of missing the good stuff, there's another massive misconception tourists bring with them. Something about 2 very famous theme parks that couldn't be more different. Here's where tourists mess up big time. Disney World and Universal Orlando are not the same experience. Not even close. Saying they're interchangeable is like comparing a symphony orchestra to a rock concert. Both are music, both are entertainment, but you wouldn't wear the same outfit to each. Let's talk size first. Disney World covers 25,000 acres. That's roughly the size of San Francisco. Universal, 840 acres. You could fit Universal inside Disney 30 times over. But here's where it gets interesting. Universal doesn't want to be bigger. They want to be intense. Their Velocicoaster hits 70 miles per hour with 4 inversions. Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure launches you through a forest on an actual motorcycle. These rides exist because Universal targets teenagers and adults who want their stomach in their throat. Disney takes a completely different approach. They're building worlds you walk through, not just rides you survive. The storytelling wraps around you. My dad, who's 72, spent 45 minutes just wandering through Galaxy's Edge looking at details. He wouldn't last 10 minutes waiting for Velocicoaster. Now, the practical stuff matters too. Universal lets you bring food and drinks into their parks. Pack a sandwich. Bring some snacks. Disney? Unless you have documented dietary restrictions, outside food stays outside. The pricing philosophy differs completely as well. Disney practically requires multi-day tickets and costs $400 plus per person to see everything. Universal can realistically be experienced in 2 or 3 days. And the resort experience? Disney creates a bubble. You never leave. You eat Disney, sleep Disney, breathe Disney. Universal integrates with actual Orlando, real restaurants, real nightlife, real city. So which is better? Wrong question. Speaking of wrong questions, most tourists assume you need a car to enjoy any of this. Here's where tourists waste the most money. Rental cars, I get it. Florida sprawls. Everything looks far apart on a map, so you assume wheels are mandatory. Not even close. Miami runs a completely free Metro Mover system. Free. $0. It loops through downtown, Brickell, and the Omni District, hitting hotels, restaurants, and attractions. Tourists walk right past the stations because nobody told them it exists. Tampa pulled the same move with their Tico streetcar. Ybor City to downtown, no charge. You're eating Cuban sandwiches and drinking craft beer without ever touching a steering wheel or a parking meter. And Orlando? The iRide trolley costs $2. That's less than a single parking spot anywhere near International Drive. It stops at every outlet mall, every restaurant cluster, every tourist trap worth your time. But the best example is Key West. Renting a car for Key West is like bringing skis to a swimming pool. The streets are narrow. Parking costs more per hour than a decent meal. Meanwhile, bicycles cost $15 a day and get you everywhere faster than a car stuck behind a chicken crossing the road. Yes, actual chickens, they own that island. Then there's Fort Lauderdale's water taxi network. Most people think it's a tourist gimmick. Wrong. Locals use it as actual transportation along the intracoastal. It drops you at waterfront restaurants and hotels while your rental car sits somewhere costing $25 to park. Now, should you ever rent a car in Florida? Sure, road trips to the Springs or Everglades need one. Theme park hopping between cities makes sense, but staying put in one area? That car payment is just funding someone else's vacation. Speaking of funding vacations, let me destroy another myth about who actually belongs at theme parks. Here's where theme parks get misunderstood completely. Parents drag their kids to Orlando thinking they're the target audience. Meanwhile, adults without children are having the time of their lives and spending way more money doing it. Universal Orlando built the Velocicoaster specifically for grown-ups who want to feel their soul leave their body. 4,700 feet of track, 70 miles per hour, 4 inversions. Your kids would cry, you'll scream, and immediately get back in line. But the real secret? Epcot. Disney designed an entire park that's basically a pub crawl with educational signage. 11 country pavilions, each one serves authentic alcohol. I've personally watched grown adults drink around the world, starting in Mexico and ending face down in Canada. It's a legitimate thing people plan. Then there's the nightlife nobody mentions. Disney Springs and Universal City Walk operate as standalone entertainment districts. Upscale restaurants, live concerts, craft cocktail bars, no park ticket required, no children necessary. Want something more intense? Busch Gardens, Tampa has Shakra. 200-foot drop, 90-degree angle, straight down. My father-in-law rode it at 63 and said it was better than his second wedding. Here's the stat that surprises everyone. Adults visiting without children spend 20% more per person than families do. Why? Because they're not buying chicken nuggets and glow sticks. They're booking premium dining experiences, VIP tours, and exclusive after-hours events. Speaking of after-hours, theme parks run adult-only nights with open bars, smaller crowds, and entertainment that would put kids to sleep in minutes. The parks know exactly who's actually spending money. It's not the family splitting one turkey leg between 4 people. Now, expensive theme parks are one thing, but what about the Florida Keys? Most tourists assume they can't afford it. Here's where tourists really get it wrong. The Keys aren't some billionaire playground. That's what travel magazines want you to believe because expensive resorts buy full-page ads. Key Largo and Islamorada have motels running $150 to $200 a night. That's what you'd pay in Panama City Beach or Clearwater. Same price range, completely different vibe. And the weird part is, happy hour down there is practically a competitive sport. Bars fight for your business with $3 beers and half-price appetizers from 4 to 7 p.m. I've eaten like a king for $20 more times than I can count. Want to snorkel those famous reefs? John Pennekamp State Park gets you in the water for under $30. You're seeing the exact same coral formations that fancy charter boats charge $150 to visit. Same fish, same experience, different price tag. But here's the real secret. Bahia Honda State Park has camping spots for roughly $40 a night. You wake up on a beach that Travel Channel ranked among the best in America. Your neighbors at the nearby resort paid $800 for the same sunrise. The grocery store myth needs to die too. Yes, prices run 10 to 15% higher than mainland stores. That's it. The horror stories come from tourists eating every meal at waterfront restaurants where a shrimp basket costs your car payment. Fishing bridges let you cast for free. Local seafood markets sell fresh catch cheaper than what restaurants charge for appetizers alone. The Keys separate tourists from their money only if those tourists let it happen. Speaking of money myths, you know that advice about booking Florida trips 6 months ahead? Yeah, that's mostly garbage too. Here's the thing about Florida trip planning. Somewhere along the way, everyone decided you need to book 6 months out or your vacation falls apart. Complete nonsense. Theme park tickets? Available same day, online or at the gate. Booking early saves you $0 and just locks you into dates you might need to change. I learned this the hard way after prepaying for everything. Then my kid got sick. Flexibility would have been nice. And hotels, last-minute deals on apps like Hotel Tonight regularly beat those early bird rates by 30 to 40%. Properties hate empty rooms. They'd rather slash prices than stare at vacancies. But here's where it gets interesting. Most restaurants outside Disney property accept walk-ins, even the popular spots in Miami and Tampa. That fancy seafood place everyone raves about? Call that afternoon. You'll probably get a table. Airboat tours, snorkeling trips, attraction tickets. Same story. Most have same-day availability except during Christmas week and spring break. That's it. 2 busy periods. Now state parks and natural springs work differently. First come, first served. Parking fills around 11 a.m. on busy weekends. Show up early or go late afternoon when families with cranky kids head home. So where does the book 6 months ahead advice actually apply? Disney dining reservations. Stays at popular resorts during peak holiday weeks. That's the entire list. The rest of Florida operates like a normal vacation destination where spontaneity still exists. Revolutionary concept, right? Makes sense when you think about it. Tourism boards want your money committed early. Hotels want guaranteed bookings, but that's their preference, not your requirement. Speaking of things people get wrong about Florida, let's talk about what comes out of your tap, because that sulfur smell has a reputation that's mostly undeserved. Here's one that drives me absolutely crazy. Tourists landing in Florida, immediately hunting down bottled water like they're entering some third world country. Don't drink the tap water, they warn each other. Meanwhile, I'm over here filling my glass straight from the sink like some kind of madman. Look, I get it. Some Florida tap water smells weird. That sulfur smell hits you and your brain screams, poison! But here's what nobody tells you. That smell comes from natural minerals in the aquifer. Not contamination, not sewage, just underground minerals doing their thing. Florida tap water meets or exceeds every single EPA safety standard. Everyone. Orlando's tap water actually wins regional taste tests, wins them. The water comes from a protected aquifer system that's been filtering naturally for thousands of years. But sure, keep spending $8 on a bottle of Dasani at Magic Kingdom. And here's where it gets interesting. Most hotels and restaurants use filtration systems anyway. By the time water hits your glass, it's basically indistinguishable from the bottled stuff you're overpaying for. Want to know the real secret? Theme parks are legally required to give you free ice water at any quick service restaurant. You just ask. That's it. No purchase necessary. I've saved probably $200 over the years with this one trick. The whole bad Florida water reputation, it mostly comes from older buildings with corroded pipes, not the actual water supply tourists encounter at modern hotels and attractions. Bringing a reusable bottle saves $15 to $30 daily. Per person. A family of 4 could save over $100 a day just by trusting the tap. But overspending on water is nothing compared to the money tourists waste avoiding Florida during the wrong months. And that brings us to the biggest timing mistake visitors make. Here's the thing about hurricane season that the news won't tell you. Yes, it technically runs from June through November. That's 6 whole months. Sounds terrifying, right? But here's where statistics actually help you. The real danger window, about 2 weeks in mid-September. That's it. The other 5.5 months, dramatically lower risk. Modern weather forecasting has gotten ridiculously good. We're talking 5 to 7 days of advance warning before any major storm. That's enough time to change your flight, rebook your hotel, or just drive to the other side of the state where the sun is shining. And the weird part is, hurricane season might actually be the smartest time to visit. Hotels slash their rates. Theme parks have shorter lines. Restaurants get you seated faster. The beaches aren't packed with spring breakers or summer vacation crowds. You get the same Florida experience for sometimes 40% less. Now about those afternoon thunderstorms everyone warns you about. They roll in around 3 p.m., dump rain for maybe 45 minutes, then disappear. Locals call it liquid sunshine. You grab a drink, wait it out, and boom. Clear skies again. June and early July often have better weather than late April or May anyway. Here's something else. Most Florida hurricanes don't even hit the tourist zones. They slam the panhandle or brush the Atlantic coast. Orlando sits protected in the middle of the state. I've lived through hurricane seasons where my biggest inconvenience was rain during one cookout. Hotels know you're nervous, though. That's why they offer flexible cancellation policies during these months. Free rebooking, no questions asked, so you've saved money on your trip. But plenty of tourists think you can't enjoy Florida without spending thousands anyway. Florida's 175 state parks charge between $2 and $8 per vehicle. That's it. That's your entry fee for some of the most beautiful springs, beaches, and trails in the entire country. And yet tourists keep dropping $500 a day at theme parks because nobody told them the alternatives exist. Here's what kills me. Fort Lauderdale Beach, free to walk. St. Augustine's Historic District, free to explore. Watching an actual rocket launch from Cocoa Beach, completely free, and honestly, more impressive than most paid attractions I've experienced. But let's talk about the real money hack. Groupon and local tourism websites slash 40 to 60% off airboat rides, snorkeling tours, and sometimes even theme park tickets. I've seen families save $300 in a single day just by checking these sites the night before. Now here's where it gets practical. Book a vacation rental with a kitchen instead of a hotel. You'll cut food costs by 50 to 70%. A family of 4 eating theme park meals drops easily $150 daily on food alone. Meanwhile, you could make breakfast and pack lunches for maybe $20. Museums, many offer free admission days. Perez Art Museum Miami costs nothing every first Thursday. Several Orlando museums have free community nights monthly. Even beach parking, the sneakiest cost in Florida, disappears if you show up before 9 in the morning or after 4 in the afternoon. Most spots either become free or dirt cheap. The expensive Florida trip isn't mandatory. It's a choice most people make because they don't know better. But speaking of things tourists don't know, there's a massive food myth that's costing people incredible culinary experiences throughout the state. Florida food equals seafood and Cuban sandwiches. That's what most tourists believe. And honestly, they're missing about 90% of what makes eating here actually interesting. Let's start with citrus. Florida grows more oranges than anywhere else in America. And that fresh squeezed juice from roadside stands, it'll ruin you for store-bought forever. Completely different experience, like comparing a home-cooked meal to airplane food. Then there's key lime pie. The real stuff is yellow, not that neon green nonsense tourist traps serve. If your slice looks like it belongs in a glow stick, walk away. Authentic key lime pie uses actual key limes, which are smaller, more tart, and naturally produce a pale yellow filling. But here's where it gets interesting. Before Cuban immigrants arrived, Florida had its own cuisine, cracker cooking. We're talking gator tail, frog legs, and swamp cabbage. Heart of palm for the uninitiated. This food tradition goes back generations, and most visitors have zero clue it exists. Tampa did invent the Cuban sandwich, I'll give you that. But the same city created devil crabs and has this incredible Spanish-Italian fusion from Ybor City's immigrant communities. The cigar workers brought recipes that blended into something uniquely Floridian. Head to North Florida and the Panhandle, pure southern BBQ territory. Smoked mullet is the regional specialty tourists never discover because they assume everything below Georgia is beach food. And Miami? Calling it Cuban food is like calling New York pizza. Sure, it's there, but you're also getting Haitian griot, Colombian arepas, Venezuelan cachapas, Peruvian ceviche, and Brazilian churrasco. The city has one of America's most diverse food scenes, hiding in plain sight. Florida's plate is way bigger than most people realize. They just never looked past the obvious.